This is LOA Recon with Good Vibe Coach Jeanette Ma, where we explore the ins and outs of conscious creation to manifest our favorite dreams come true. Let's have some fun together. Welcome and thank you for joining me for another episode. The other day I realized that this voice that used to be so prevalent, so powerful in my life, had practically completely dissipated into something that I could hardly hear anymore. It was like it felt so far away, so foreign, I couldn't even relate to it anymore. The voice I lost touch with was my money gremlin. I could no longer seriously entertain fearful financial thoughts. I just couldn't buy into them anymore. There wasn't any part of me that it resonated with, at least not enough to recognize the resonance. It had just dissipated so much that it was like someone was shouting from not even the cheap seats. It's like they were shouting from outside the stadium trying to get my attention, where you can't really make out what they're saying. I was incapable of believing in money scarcity. Okay, that was a pretty dramatic turnaround from where I started as a young person in the world where money fears were so dominant that I just thought that's how it is with money. Like I didn't know there was any other way to experience it. So this was a pretty big change. And it got me to thinking, all right, how did I get here? Because I want to share whatever I know personally worked for me. I want to share it with others. How did I get to the point that I could no longer take any money worries seriously? Like I'm just defaulted to a mindset of abundance. How'd I do that? Okay, well, like I said, once upon a time, it used to be that money fears were so prevalent in my life, it was the norm for me to be in a scarcity mindset about money. That was where I lived. It was just near constant money worry, certainly money awareness, and it was awareness of lack. It was just always knowing the shortage. So it was super common for my mind to be filled with worries, doubts, and fears about money. I entertained those regularly. But these days, I just can't even take seriously any gremlin that even tries to whisper money fears in my ear. It's like they don't fit in my brain anymore. There's no place for them. It's like pure nonsense they're trying to speak to me. And I'm going to say this change is not because now I have all the money in the world. That's not where this change came from. Because, first of all, I don't have all the money in the world. I do still work for a living. And two, because having money doesn't shush the gremlins, believe it or not. You might think that, if only I could, look, we're talking about money in this episode, but it applies to any subject that matters to you, health, love, career success, peace, happiness, whatever. If you're listening to this, you could just replace money with whatever topic you've been grappling with lately. But as I was saying, some people think that if they could just get whatever it is that's been eluding them, then they'll stop worrying about it. Au contraire, it does not work that way. In fact, get this, sometimes getting more money just amplifies the worries. You've heard that saying before, that money doesn't change who you are, it just amplifies who you are. Whatever you had going on before, money just makes it more. Maybe Elon Musk is exhibit number 1 for that. Anyway, gremlins don't go away because you have money. Even rich people sometimes suffer from financial fear and insecurity. So money isn't what eliminates these fears. And I know you know this too because you have money to at least some degree, or you've had it before, and it did not eliminate your money worries. Your worries might change. They might shift to things like, how to protect it, or what if you run out of it, or are you doing the right things with it, or what do you do about those people who want some of it, or whatever it might be. But having money does not eliminate money fears. What I'm saying here is that you don't need money to get rid of gremlins who keep whispering their worries and fears in your ear. And let's be honest, that's what most people are trying to do. They're trying to make money in order to feel better. In fact, even some LOA-savvy creators are still thinking that if they could just manifest money, then their fear will go away and they can live in peace and prosperity. But it does not work that way. Reality can only ever reflect our vibration. So we can't wait for money to arrive in order to feel better, because the money's not in charge of how we feel. First of all, we are. We're in charge of our feelings, which is coming from our thoughts, not from our bank accounts. So this is on us to do this. The outside doesn't change the inside. The inside is changing the outside. That's LOA 101. First, we feel better, then reality reciprocates. Okay, so how can you feel better about money before anything changes in your financial situation? Or another way to ask that is, what does it take to eliminate money fears if not money? Okay, first, here's what doesn't work. Going to battle with your gremlins. Ooh, fighting scarcity thinking does not work because whatever we put our attention on grows. By trying to get rid of negative thoughts, we just populate them in our minds even more. So that's not the routine we want to engage. Rather, it's about emphasizing new thoughts, different thoughts. It's growing what we do want rather than fighting against what we don't. And that means being more deliberate and disciplined in how we focus. It's about learning to notice, to conjure, to focus on, to dwell on, to lean into thoughts of abundance and well-being and prosperity and plenty, and to do that repeatedly and consistently, giving those thoughts more airtime than their negative counterparts. Once I knew the power of my thoughts, knowing that whatever I think is coming for me, that was powerful incentive to leave off of the thoughts like, I don't have enough, or what am I going to do to make this work, or entertaining doomsday scenarios of not making rent or being able to take care of the cats, to instead feel the prosperity into my life, to imagine things working out or getting even better, to whisper stories to myself of how good this is, of how well I'm doing, instead of all the opposites that had been dominant up until then. In fact, I was trying to remember for this episode what my old money worries were, and honestly, I couldn't even come up with, I can't even remember. That's how much they've been excluded from my thought repertoire. I say they've been excluded as if it happened passively. It was not passive. I actively excluded them from my mind. Those are not thoughts that find a home in me. They do not get airtime in here. Those neural pathways are long abandoned, or at least they get so little traffic that they're hard to find again. I think we can find anything that we look for, so I didn't look too hard for what those old thoughts were. And that's how it can be for you too, when you're willing to get more deliberate and disciplined about what you think. That's what I'm asking you for here. In fact, let's think about this. What are you already really disciplined and focused about? Think of something in your life that you've brought your A game to. Maybe it's how good you are at only speaking positive, encouraging things to your child. Or maybe it's what you put in your body, or how you communicate at work. Or maybe it's your self-care routine. Maybe you're the kind of person who protects her sleep really well. Or you're someone who is a pro at prioritizing friendships. I'm saying you've got skills in some other area of life that prove how good you are at something once you decide to be, once you make a point of it. And it is no different here. Decide to get good at this. Decide to commit to it. Decide that it matters. Because these new thought patterns are not going to happen by accident. They happen by design, through consistent daily practice, just being willing to think better thoughts until that's the norm for you. And we do that one better feeling thought at a time, one after another. Whether we're talking about money or anything that you want to release sabotaging thoughts about in favor of more supportive thoughts, it's the same process. Get in the habit of thinking better things. It's not sexy. It's not fancy. It's not secret. It's just do it. When you do get in the habit of reaching for better feeling thoughts, those thoughts will become stronger and more normal to you. Those neural pathways get stronger. You'll default to them more easily. It will seem more right and obvious and true for you, even if it doesn't seem that at first. Even if at first it feels like pipe dreams, like ridiculous stuff. Although, you don't have to go with extreme thoughts that seem untrue. You can start with softer things like, change happens. Things could get better. It does for plenty of people. Why not me? I know how this works. I'm working it right now. I know that anything I practice gets easier. And I know that money is just another aspect of life that I have the power to play with. Or however, you can ease your way into more empowering thoughts like, I know abundance. I am good with money. It gets better every day, or whatever you want your reality to be. You don't have to start with, I am rich or money is easy. You can find your way through this in whatever way feels best to you. And that is easier to do when you set an intention to see richness in your world where you did not see it before, because I guarantee you're overlooking some. You can also ask your divine team for help in thinking more empowering money thoughts. You can get a hypnosis or guided meditation to help. You can practice affirmations or mantras that resonate with you. You can make a point of seeing what's going right in your money world. Even deliberately look for the riches that are already there, even if it's just a sliver of wealth. When you focus on that sliver, it grows into your dominant experience. I do not mean to be shouting, I'm so sorry. But the way we inoculate against money fears is by investing our attention in thoughts that serve us better. I'm doing pretty well. I've done a good job so far. I'm learning lots along the way. I've got skills. There are lots of reasons to believe things will improve. There's plenty more where that came from. The world is awash in money, and I can partake. I deserve to have what I want. I am good at having what I want. Look, those thoughts might not work for you, but your work is to find the ones that do. Find the thoughts that feel better to you and invest in them repeatedly. Regularly, like the manifesting pro that you are. You can write them down, you can record them and play them back, you can share them with others, you can sprinkle them throughout your self-talk, you can make sticky notes or lists or screensavers or passwords, or however you can get those thoughts on repeat, not in an annoying or obsessed way that makes you want to quit, but in a sustainable practice that lets you get some good time with better feeling thoughts. That's it. I actually used to use the awareness of my gremlin thoughts as my cue to run through the aligning thoughts instead. So whenever I heard something that I didn't like from my gremlins, that was the trigger for me to repeat something better. And I had a memorized mantra on standby for exactly those moments. I just crowded those gremlin voices out. I did not give them room. I did not give them an audience. I just flipped the switch to the abundance voice instead. That's how those neural pathways got stronger and became easier to find and more normal to think, and pretty soon they were what I believed. Although I will say, if I were doing this work again today, I would probably do it differently. I relied so heavily on my ability and my awareness and my willingness to repeat the better thoughts. But if I were doing it now, I'd let someone else do the reps. That's what my trainer called it. When I was looking for help with Winston, I needed a dog trainer. The guy that I was talking to, he said, look, you could come to a group class, I'll teach you how to do it, or he said, I can do the reps for you, meaning I leave Winston with him for a couple weeks and he just does the work for me. I hired him on the spot. He would do the work. That was fabulous. I was in. And that's what I would do. I didn't use this before, but I sure would now. I would let Paul McKenna, I Can Make You Rich, or Abraham's Vortex Money Meditation, or some other trusted guide feed me those thoughts while I was relaxing, or sleeping, or even multitasking. I would get that stuff in the background of my mind and let my brain just swim in it. I would also make a point of getting immersed in the world of people who already had those thoughts. Actually, I did that a little bit. My coach made me read Paris Hilton's Confessions of an Heiress. This was a while ago. And that was an eye-opener into another world. Wow, that was something different for me. But the way I did it worked too, so I can't have any regrets about how I went about it. However you get your focus redirected, once you do, this thing happens where when you're not entertaining thoughts of lack or need or not enough, once you've replaced them with noticing where you're already doing well or reminding yourself how things are always working out for you or just affirming that you're getting friendlier with money every day, pretty soon money finds its way to you. You make it easier for money to appear in your world when you let those old gremlin thoughts wither away and instead train yourself into an abundance mindset instead. That's how more money finds a home with you, because you are willing to think and feel and see rich before the big bucks appeared. So this inoculation, it's not like a one-time shot or a once-in-a-lifetime fix that forevermore changes things. It's ongoing. Investing in rich thoughts and wealthy feelings on the regular is how you manifest more riches and more wealth. And I do say more riches and wealth deliberately because it's important to notice where we already are rich and wealthy, or loved, or healthy, or successful, or happy, or whatever you're calling in. Even if it's tiny, even if it's rare, we have to be able to see how we already are thriving in order to allow more thriving. Whatever you want more of, if you aren't acknowledging where it already is in your life, your blindness to it keeps you from seeing more of it. You've got to develop the eyes to see it because I guarantee it's there in some form already. And being willing to acknowledge that and even appreciate and revel in it when you see it, that's the key to experiencing more. So take the blinders off and see how you already are rich in so many ways. I'm not even going to fill in those blanks for you. You've got to find those yourself. Me telling you isn't going to convince you. You have to convince yourself. And you can do that because you know how this works. You're a savvy creator with skills. So show yourself your skills and start activating the thoughts that make the difference you want to see in your life, whatever the subject is. It's all yours to choose. And yes, we're going to choose it again and again. We're going to keep doing it before it gets here. But this is a reliable system when you get reliable with it. So turn your attention to what you prefer on the regular, however it feels best to do that, and watch the magic unfold. I hope you got some inspiration from this episode. Thanks for listening, everyone, and happy manifesting.